It gives me great pleasure to announce that the Egyptian government, the Central Bank of Egypt, and the IMF mission in a visit to Egypt right now has reached a staff-level agreement on comprehensive economic policies and reforms to be supported by an IMF program in collaboration with Egypt. In fact, the governance program, as supported by the IMF, aims at safeguarding macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability, improving Egypt's resilience to external shocks, strengthening the social safety net, and stepping up the structural reforms that underpin higher private sector-led growth and job creation. Maybe you remember that one of the most important recommendations of the economic conference that ended a couple of days ago is to reach an agreement shortly with the IMF, because this conveys a message to everybody that conditions are stable and safe in Egypt. And this is why allow me to moderate today's session, and I would like to call upon Dr. Ivana Haller, the IMF mission chief, to explain the details of the program. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
جزيل الشكر معالي رئيس الوزراء، صباح الخير لكم جميعا. نحن سعداء لنعلن أن السلطات المصرية وصندوق النقد الدولي قد توصل إلى اتفاقية تمتد لمدة 6 أشهر. هذا البرنامج سوف تصل تكلفته إلى 3 مليارات دولار أمريكي من أجل تمويل الموازنة المصرية وتوفير تمويل للشركاء الدوليين والمحليين لمصر. بالطبع الهدف من ذلك هو أن يكون هناك مواجهة للأزمات الخاصة بالاقتصاد الكلي، ومن ضمنها أزمة الحرب في أوكرانيا، ومن أجل أن يكون هناك دعم لمشاركة القطاع الخاص. هذه الاتفاقية سوف تنظر من قبل مجلس إدارة صندوق النقد الدولي قريبا. إن الأزمة الروسية الأوكرانية قد تسببت في أزمات في مختلف أنحاء العالم بما يتضمن مصر. إن صندوق النقد الدولي قد عمل مع السلطات المصرية من أجل أن يكون هناك تعديلات هيكلية من أجل الوصول إلى التزام أقوى فيما يتعلق بالتعديلات الخاصة بالاقتصاد الكلي، وذلك بالطبع في ضوء الضغوط والتحديات الدولية. شكرا جزيلا. Thank you very much. Allow me now to give the floor to His Excellency Hassan Abdullah, the Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt. Thank you, Your Excellency. في البداية أود أن أشكر بعثة صندوق النقد الدولي على تعاونهم. كل من يحضرون معنا هذا الاجتماع قد بذلوا كثير من الجهود. أيضا أود أن أشكر جميع زملائي، وأنا سعيد للغاية ببداية هذا الأمر. سوف أتحدث باللغة العربية. Actually reaching a staff-level agreement between Egypt and the IMF is actually the result of the collaboration between both parties that agreed on policies, adjustments, and structural reforms. This agreement
الكلي وقدرته على مواجهة الصدمات الخارجية والتي زادت حدتها على المستوى العالمي.
External shocks. In regards to the monetary policies, the Central Bank of Egypt has exerted lots of efforts, especially when it comes to strengthening the capacities of the exchange market. The Central Bank of Egypt aims at building international reserves sustainably, whereas the program has been designed after ensuring bridging the deficit gap throughout the next 4 years. The Central Bank of Egypt today announces that the value of the Egyptian pound will be subject to supply and demand in a flexible market with the objective of achieving stable prices. The monetary policy will aim at decreasing the interventions gradually and in a way that would allow us to reach stability that would be announced by the end of this year. The Central Bank of Egypt also issued today the regulation for different transactions, monetary transactions, which allow us to use the tool of markets and businesses to deal flexibly with the new exchange rate. Egypt today has announced the gradual annulment of the regulations announced in 2020 when it comes to imports to Egypt, whereas credit letters now have reached $375,000. Thank you, Your Excellency, the Governor. Now allow me to give the floor to His Excellency Mohammed Maid, the Minister of Finance, to speak about the monetary policies and the fiscal policies. Thank you, Your Excellency. In line with the agreements with the IMF that includes a funding of $9 billion, $3 billion from the IMF, $3 billion from the Sustainability and Resilience Fund, and the rest to come from international partners. In fact, the fiscal policy aims at reducing the state debt to less than 80% and to continue with the financial regulation policy on a medium term through implementing the relevant strategies and through strengthening the capacities of the tax system by involving and engaging the informal economy in order to achieve primary surplus and to reduce the budget deficit. Also, we will continue with the structural reform of the state budget that will help with the governance and transparency and reducing the impact of climate change. We will also continue with enhancing the social protection systems through a set of procedures announced recently in April and September, and also yesterday. Yes, and also yesterday, which comes in line with the financial policies under the agreement with the IMF. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. Now I give the floor to Her Excellency, the Minister of Planning and Development. Thank you, Your Excellency. In fact, the IMF program supports the efforts of Egypt towards the structural reforms in order to make the optimal use of Egypt's resources so that would be achieving sustainable growth as well as strengthening the capacities of Egyptian economy. Of course, the program depends on increasing the productivity of the Egyptian economy, its exports, and in addition to involving the private sector to collaborate with us on the development through decent job creation. And this was one of the main recommendations of the economic conference. Of course, there is another part that has to do with institutional reforms to strengthen transparency in order to further strengthen Egyptian economy. We aim at bridging all relevant gaps. Thank you.
اسمحوا لي طبعا يعني
Allow
في
me
ختام الكلمات دي اولا ان انا اوجه الشكر طبعا
to conclude
لدكتوره هولر
these speeches
من
to
صندوق النقد الدولي
by
وايضا
thanking
زملائي
Dr.
معالي محافظ
Holler
البنك المركزي
as well as my
ومعالي وزيرة
colleagues,
التخطيط
His
ومعالي وزير
Excellency
المالية
the Governor of the Central Bank
والحقيقه
and their
ان اعلان
Excellencies the
النهارده
Ministers.
عن
In fact,
الوصول الى هذا
today
الاتفاق
the
مع صندوق النقد
announcement
الدولي
of
الحقيقه
reaching
يعني
the
كان
agreement with the
وراه
IMF
جهد شاق جدا
today
من المفاوضات
has come as a
اللي كانت بقالها
result
فترة.
of
والحمد لله ان
strenuous
احنا نجحنا
efforts that
اليوم
have been
في
going on for
الوصول
quite
الى
some
اتفاق
time.
الخبراء
And thankfully
اللي
we
هي
have been
تعتبر خطوة
able
أساسية
to
في
reach
إتمام
the staff level
البرنامج الجديد.
agreement
وعايز
that
أأكد
would
إن
be the new
يعني
step
كل اللي
in
احنا
this new
سمعناه
program, first
النهارده
step to
هو
this new
جزء
program.
من
What we have heard
التوصيات
today
اللي
is
كان
just a
المؤتمر
part
الاقتصادي
of
قبل.
the
المؤتمر الاقتصادي
recommendations
اتكلم
of the
على
economic
يعني ضرورة
conference
يعني
because
إن
the
يبقى في
economic
سياسة مالية
conference
ونقدية
has
واضحة.
spoken about having
سرعة
a clear
الاتفاق مع
financial
صندوق
and
النقد
fiscal
الدولي
policies
إطلاق حزمة
and to
اجتماعية
expedite the
حزمة
agreement
اجتماعية
with the
جديدة واللي كان
IMF
التكليف
and
من فخامة الرئيس للحكومة إنها
we have
تسرع
been directed by His Excellency
يعني
the
إعلانها.
President
فالحقيقة النهارده احنا
to
الحمد لله بنتحرك
announce
نحو
all the updates.
يعني الوصول
So
إلى
in fact
هدفنا
today we are moving
الاقتصاد
towards
المصري في
our
ظل
goal
الأزمة العالمية
because
الغير
the
مسبوقة
Egyptian
واللي العالم كله ما
economy
شافهاش
in the
مرة
light
أخرى.
of
وبأكد
this
على هذا الموضوع إن
unprecedented
الاقتصاد المصري يبقى
international
بيحقق حالة استقرار
crisis
ويبقى
is
قادر على الصمود في خلال
still
الفترة القادمة إن شاء الله.
stable and we would
أنا
like the
بأكد إن
stability to be
البرنامج طبعا زي
sustainable.
ما أعلن زملائي
Just like
الصندوق
my
الحقيقة
colleagues have mentioned,
حدد مبلغ 3 مليار
the
بالإضافة
IMF has
إلى مليار
decided on
آخر من
3
صندوق
billions
الاستدامة
in addition
اللي
to
تم
1
إنشاؤه
billion
جوه
from
النقد
the
الدولي أيضا.
sustainability
ده
fund
بالإضافة إلى
from
حوالي
within
5
the
مليار دولار
IMF in addition to
هتبقى
5 billion
بتقدمها
US
الدول
dollars
الشريكة في التنمية وأيضا
provided
المؤسسات
by
الدولية
the
الأخرى.
development
يعني
partners
بنتكلم في حدود
and
9
other
مليار
international
دولار
organizations. So here
هتبقى عشان
we're
تساعد
speaking
الدولة
about
المصرية في
a
خلال
total
الفترة
of 9
القادمة
billion
بإذن
US
الله.
dollars
أنا
that
بشكر
would help the
حضراتكم
Egyptian
جميعا
state
وشكرا
throughout the
وإن شاء
upcoming
الله
period. Thank you
كل
all
الخير
so
بإذن الله.
much and I wish
شكرا.
all of us the best of luck. Thank you.